All right, YouTube. I just want to start off by thanking everybody who has recently subscribed to my channel. This past month has been crazy as far as growth is concerned. This has been the biggest month in my, 10 years, I think, on YouTube. And of course, I haven't been consistent over those 10 years. For like the first 9, I uploaded like one video every year, if that. So anyways, thanks again. And let's get into this Milo crap. And first of all, I just want to say I enjoy Milo as an entertainer, as a provocateur, and as somebody who has opinions and views on certain things that I agree with. So that being said, yeah, I was really kind of not really upset when the recent stuff came out from that Reagan, whatever the fuck blog they are. Whatever the hell that shit is, that put together this hit piece on Milo, basically. Taking a footage from over a year ago, cutting it down and packaging it in a way that makes him just look like he's totally advocating for pedophilia, pederasty, whatever you want to call it, that he's totally on board with kid fucking. And myself being a fan of the Drunken Peasants podcast and the Joe Rogan Experience, I saw both of those episodes back when they originally aired over a year ago. And I remember him talking about those things, and I remember thinking to myself, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. But I also recognized at the time that it was obviously a guy who was dealing with abuse. It was obvious to me that he was looking for ways to not feel like a victim. And it's one of those things that liberals, it's one of those things that they often defend. You know, it's, we can't tell people how they can cope with their own individual experiences with sexual abuse. Since they were the victim, they're allowed to joke about it if they want to, but anybody else can't. A lot of people are saying, oh, his career is over. He resigned from Breitbart. He lost his book deal and all this stuff. Look, that book sold so many pre-orders. Do you really think there's not another publisher going to take it? And that's what kills me about these things. Like, can you not take 20 minutes to go look for the Drunken Peasants podcast? It's not hard to find. Get the full context of what was going on. See that this guy was obviously coping with his own abuse and having some fun with it, just shooting the shit with a bunch of dudes, and be like, okay, well, this is bullshit. People are blowing it out of proportion. We'll keep the book, or something like that. Like, no, these days people just want to have these knee-jerk reactions and jump to conclusions, and it's bullshit, man. It's stupid. But I think the biggest bunch of bullshit that has come out of this so far that really bothers me is, first of all, George Takei, formerly, he might even still be on the Howard Stern show. I don't listen to Howard Stern anymore. George Takei is like this liberal icon. I mean, really, he is. Especially if you follow him on Facebook, and look, I love the guy. I think he's awesome. I'm a fan. I remember hearing this live when he talked about it. And that's whenever, like, this video surfaced. I was like, oh my God. That is right. George Takei also joked about his molestation. And again, that's like, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody. He even went on several other talk shows. It was even in a documentary about his life, and he goes out and he freely talks about it, and nobody says he's advocating for child molestation or pedophilia, even though he says he enjoyed it, he had a good time. So let's take a quick listen.
I remember George telling a story of the camp counselor a while back.
I thought I remembered that too.
That's why.
George, where did you go to summer camp?
At Lake Arrowhead in Southern California, Los Angeles.
Am I right in saying that most Asians, young Asians, do not go to summer camp?
No, we do.
He was there with a bunch of Jews.
No, we do.
But it was a mixed summer camp.
Was it? Were there other Asians there, or were you the only Asian gentleman?
There were other Asians there.
How old were you at the time?
I was...
What I want to know is, why does Howard Stern have it in his head that Asians don't go to summer camp? Like, what is that? Is that like a stereotype now? Is like, Asians are good at math. Asians are good at making electronics and designing video games, and they don't go to summer camp. It's not something they do.
And you, You blew
was
your
13.
counselor?
No, I was very young.
Yes.
And
13 is young.
And
yes.
he was an older teenager. He was a camp counselor.
19, would you say?
He was about 18 or 19. Yeah.
And that is the only real difference in the stories here. Now, to make no mistake about it, both cases, Milo was 14 or 13-ish, somewhere along in there. George the same. Just because Milo was with a 30-year-old and George was with a 19, 18-year-old doesn't make a difference. It's still a person of age, an adult, a legal adult, with a child, with an underage person.
And he was experienced.
Yes.
And we each had cabins, and he was the counselor in my cabin.
He could tell that you were a gay man? Was it evident at 13?
No, it wasn't.
No.
But
were you sure at that point you were gay?
No, I was not sure.
Right.
But you liked the camp counselor?
I liked him.
You know what? I got a bone to pick, because this kind of makes me feel kind of insecure, honestly. Because, look, I'm not a gay man, but, I went to camp when I was a kid, and I had camp counselors, and none of them ever tried to make an advance on me. What the fuck, dude? And I know I'm a fat guy, and I was a fat little chubby kid back then, but hey, more cushion for the pushing, right? At least I'd have some titties, because if you're not totally gay, little boy has some titties, give you something to squish while you're doing it. You can close your eyes, and you know what I'm saying? Brian Littrell from the Backstreet Boys was one of my camp counselors. How great of a story would that have been if I could say Brian Littrell of the Backstreet Boys gave me a hand job at summer camp? Now, I love you, Brian Littrell, out there. You're a good dude. I would never make up a story like that, but it's just funny to think about, because the memories I have summer camp are really good memories. Like, I never got touched. Not that I remember. I guess that shit might happen in some camps. I don't know. But I don't know if, again, I understand coping mechanisms and joking about it. And I joke about it, even though it didn't happen. I think we need to hold everybody to the same standard. If it's okay for George Takei to talk about it and joke about it, then it's okay for Milo, who also went through the same thing. Which, again, on that note, it should be okay for me, who didn't go through it. It's free speech, people.
Blonde.
Oh.
He had, I still remember the blonde forearm.
Oh, my God. Where did it go?
Are you feeling uncomfortable?
And, George Takei actually goes into a lot more detail than Milo did. And again, he claims he had a good time. He enjoyed it. He complimented the counselor's blonde forearm hairs. And that was grounds for getting a hand job, I guess. But he enjoyed it, and that's the bottom line. So what, because he enjoyed it, means that he can't then later in life go back and say, you know what, it was wrong, but I had a good time. So I can understand from that perspective how not everybody that gets molested as a kid will see it as necessarily a, quote, bad thing. Now, make no mistake about it, it is a bad thing. Even though you enjoyed it, you still weren't old enough to give consent. It was still like a confusing time in your life, yes. But, again, it's nuanced. It's individuals.
Were you molested in a sense because you were 13?
No, because I was kind of, I thought he was pretty attractive.
And there's the bombshell. Basically, George Takei said the same exact shit that Milo said over a year ago. And because Milo is all popular right now and so many people hate him because he's not afraid to say shit that people don't like, all of a sudden, he's the one that gets called out for it and loses all this shit. Look, again, I think Milo is going to bounce back beautifully. He defended himself wonderfully at the press conference the other day. He did it well in a Facebook post. He said everything straight. And again, if you go watch those podcasts in their full context, or even just those sections from when he was talking about the molestation and the experiences, get the full context, you can see it wasn't that bad. It was a guy just making jokes about something that happened in his life that he's coping with, that even though he may have enjoyed, in hindsight realizes that it was probably a bad thing. It was a bad thing. It's a nuanced thing. You're allowed to fucking, have a different view about things than other people have. It's fine. You can do that. This world we live in, it's crazy. The news channels that picked this up and ran with it, and Simon & Schuster and all these people, they need to be ashamed of themselves for not seeking the full context of this story. Because things like this exist. because nobody gives a shit when George Takei talks about it, and we're going to see here in a minute, nobody gives a shit when Bill Maher talks about it. You're going to see a video clip or hear audio clip, and with obvious cuts in it, obvious editing, or even if it's not obvious, wouldn't you say, okay, this podcast exists, we know it's called The Drunken Peasants, why don't we just go back and watch the half-hour portion where they were talking about this thing and see if this story is correct. Let's see if it really is a guy advocating sexual abuse or if it's a guy talking about his own lived experiences. The Howard Stern Show was not the only show that George talked about this. He also talked about it on the Sam Roberts Show.
In the documentary, where you're talking about your first experience with another man, when you were talking, it was at summer camp, and it was with a counselor.
Right.
And you talk about
an older man.
How much older was he?
19 years old.
And how old were you?
I was 14.
It's very thrilling, I guess.
Yeah, he was a cougar.
So are we now going to go back and say, well, this footage from however long ago it was is evidence that George Takei is okay with child fucking, is okay with child abuse, and we need to take all his platforms away and all his book deals and whatever else, we need to take it all away from him. We need to vilify George Takei? Is that what we're going to do now? I mean, we should, if we're going to hold everybody to the same standard. So that's that. Now, the next thing I want to cover before we get out of here, Bill Maher. Now, I'm a fan of Real Time. I was a fan of Politically Incorrect back in the day. Bill Maher's somebody who is more aligned with my political views, but I don't agree with him on everything. Him taking credit for Milo's downfall, which, first of all, he didn't do shit. Okay? He didn't do shit. He had him on the show. His guest attacked Milo. Milo attacked, like, they had a little back and forth. They had a shit slinging match, basically. And that was that. Bill Maher, you weren't the one that exposed these badly edited together podcast clips. I'm sorry, but you had nothing to do with that. You had Milo on as a guest. They bickered, and that was it. You don't get any credit for anything, but if you're going to take it, boom, you get some karma because you're also guilty of the same shit. HBO Real-Time host Bill Maher got plenty of heat for booking controversial provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos on his show, but he's now taking credit for the right-wing personality's abrupt professional downfall. Maher defended the decision to host Yiannopoulos, telling the New York Times that sunlight is the best disinfectant, which is a line that Milo has used in the past. Then he says, "You're welcome." God. Bill Maher, you're such a smug asshole sometimes. In roughly 24 hours, Yiannopoulos was disinvited from speaking at CPAC, lost his lucrative book deal, and resigned from Breitbart News. The sudden professional turmoil resulted after a video emerged showing Yiannopoulos making light of pedophilia. No, it didn't. Well, okay, yes, maybe the video did because it was edited that way. But if you go again, watch the original context, which again was on the internet unmolested, pun intended, for over a year, and nobody ever fucking brought it to light. Nobody ever said this was Milo defending pedophilia or anything like that until it was convenient. If Bill Maher does not speak up for this shit right here, does not explain his ass, does not apologize for claiming to have something to do with Milo's, quote, downfall, and doesn't come out in support of Milo for the things he said, the things that were taken out of context, then Bill Maher, you're a piece of shit because of this.
On the cover, Mary Kay Letourneau, the teacher from Seattle, who is in jail because she is in love. That's how I view it. I admit that it's unorthodox. She is 35. The boy is 14.
What? Okay, so she's in love, therefore she shouldn't be in jail, even though she's 35. Fucking a 14-year-old. What? Okay, so that's fine. But Milo talking about he enjoyed his sexual experience with a 30-year-old when he was 14 or however the fuck old he was. That's not good. That's advocating for pedophilia. Okay, Bill Maher. Okay, fucking media out there just trying to destroy somebody. I mean, this is, again, I hate doing the fake news shit, but it's another great example of fucking fake news. It's fabricated fucking news. It's bullshit. It's a hit piece. And Milo should get back everything he lost. And again, I think this might have been a good thing for him because I think he's going to bounce back beautifully. I think the media venture he has planned out is going to do good. I think that he's only going to get more popular in the touring circuits. I think his book is going to be huge when it finally comes out. And he already had a pretty good momentum going. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of rebuilding. But just for the fact that it's so obvious and so easily fucking debunked that he was taken out of context and that basically everybody's attacking a victim right now. The liberal media, whatever you want to call it, the people that they usually stick their necks out for. But because it's Milo Yiannopoulos, fuck him. Okay, whatever. Let's continue with Bill Maher.
He was younger when they started, but the big story
Has
this
he been
week...
bar mitzvahed?
Have I?
No, is he?
Oh.
Fail.
Okay. But she is pregnant again. That was the story this week. With the second child by this boy. So basically they're having a family and they're keeping the mother in jail because she won't conform to what society feels should be the perfect American family.
Well, the perfect American family? She's a fucking child abuser. She's a child molester. Sorry, Bill Maher. But no, just because she molested this boy, raped this boy twice, more than that, I'm sure, but at least twice, because they're having 2 kids together. Yes, keep her away from that family. You know, that's a woman that's fucked up in the head. She's in love. Right, yeah, she's in love, Bill Maher. You're a piece of shit. And I know this is old. I'm sure his views have changed. If your views have changed since then, Bill Maher, you need to come out and you need to support Milo. You need to apologize. You need to come out and say, hey, we need to fucking take it easy on Milo because sometimes people say shit. He needs to get all of his shit back, and I'm a piece of shit. That's what you should say, Bill Maher.
Yeah, it's perfect. My dad's 14 years older than me.
Absolutely sickening.
What is sickening?
A woman who's over 20 years older and she raped this kid.
Raped?
Well.
Come on.
Yes, raped. Statutory rape. Bill Maher. I know you're smarter than this, dude. Come on.
She forced? How do you know? And how can you?
Well, how do you know that she didn't rape him?
How can a woman
know that she didn't seduce him?
How can a woman rape a man?
Ugh.
I think that an older woman can manipulate a young kid, and I don't think it's really healthy. I don't think it's healthy for a kid who's going to be 14 with 2 kids out in the world. I think those children will grow up fairly damaged. I think that kid's going to grow up fairly damaged.
So you're on her side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't he be, Bill? Are you going to say that a woman can't... I mean, again, I hope your views have changed on this. I really hope they have. Because, yes, exactly like Henry Rollins just said there. Yeah, I mean, it's statutory rape. Plain and simple. It is a form of rape. Kids, under whatever the age of consent is, which is, I agree with Milo on this, is kind of arbitrary. You know, I think the age of consent, I think 16, 17 is probably about right. I can think back and say whenever I was 16, between the time I was 16 and 18, I didn't really feel any different. You know, I kind of had, I was kind of the same. In that window there, yeah, I think that's about right. 16 to 18. But again, it's still kind of arbitrary. You know, and everybody's different. Every individual is different. It is a nuanced thing, but we still have these laws, you know? So by law, yes, this woman raped this 14-year-old boy at least twice, but I'm sure multiple times. And to come out in support of the teacher, in support of the woman, and then all these years later brag about having a hand in exposing Milo, which again, I don't understand because you didn't do anything of the sort. You interviewed the guy. You got him into a bickering match with your other guests, but you didn't play any of the podcast footage or the audio. So, no, Bill Maher, you didn't do shit. But it is funny that this footage came out because it just proves, again, with the George Takei stuff, how hypocritical people are, especially in the media. Because if Milo can be exposed for saying shit that he didn't really say, or being taken out of context, I guess, and lose a book deal, have to resign from his job, deplatform from a conference. You know, if that can happen, then why does Bill Maher still have a job? Why is George Takei still out there kicking ass? It all just seems a little too convenient. Anybody that reported this, that put this shit together as if it was legit, needs to be ashamed of themselves and should lose their right to be a journalist or whatever you want to call it. They should be fired. They should have to come out and publicly apologize. And Milo should get all his shit back if he wants it. I don't think he wants it because I think this is going to end up working out for him better. In the end, I think it's going to be better for him. But, you know, maybe he does want it all back. And if he does, he should get it because he didn't do anything wrong. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So now I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're one of my new subscribers, thank you very much. I hope you stay on for the ride because I got a lot of fun stuff planned. Now, get the fuck out of here and go do some cool shit. And watch out for the potholes. This video is brought to you by dubzlist.com, where I, Tony Dubz, scour Amazon and countless other online retailers for the coolest, most unique products known to man. Use it as a gift guide for those who have everything, or be selfish and keep it all for yourself. From naughty adult toys to pranks and gag gifts, from mind-blowing scientific gadgets to kitchen helpers, computers, collectibles, games, apparel, sports gear, and everything in between, dubzlist.com is your portal to all the shit you never knew you needed. Dubzlist.com is used as a means of support for the dubCast and Tony Dubz YouTube channels. So if you like what you see here and want to help out, simply bookmark the site and buy the featured products, or click through the affiliate page and shop for anything you may need from dozens of sites, including Amazon.com. So from the bottom of my cold, cold heart, thank you for your support of these channels, and happy shopping.